Howdy, fellas. Welcome to my stream. My second stream, where I will be making some silly cartoons about Greek mythology. Still gonna wait a few more minutes, just for in case more people would like to show up. But until then, hello, how is everyone doing? I am sorry for spooking you, Sam. I considered just opening by just going right up on the mic and being like, "Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Everyone doing good?" Oh, hello, Arcade Cloud. Thank you for providing work for me for the past like 3 years. Arcade Cloud is a YouTube channel that I've done a lot of freelance work for. Is anyone here who was on my first stream last week? I think I recognize some people. Thank you very much, Arcade Cloud. Is it Rourke or Abby? Who's running the Arcade Cloud account right now? Well, thank you for showing up, Sam. I appreciate you. Hello, Abby. Lovely seeing you. I've been fascinated in Greek mythology since I was a toddler, and I love how you draw too. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I just try to draw as dumb as possible for my videos. That's kind of like how I figured out like my approach for these videos was just when I realized I wanted to just draw them as dumb as possible. All the characters. All right, well, it's been 10 minutes, so I suppose I can get started now. Bada bing. So in my last stream rather, I was drawing characters for my Greek mythology videos. If anyone hasn't watched any of my Greek mythology videos, literally the way I animate it is just like characters in their idle positions and they just talk like this, bouncing up and down, very rigid, and I just try to draw them as goofy looking as possible. So my next video is the story of Perseus. So I had to make every character unique to that story. So there's our main character Perseus, his mom and Danae, King Acrisius, King Polydectes, a lot of evil kings in the Perseus myth, Andromeda, obviously Pegasus, and the less known, Pegasus's less known brother, who is a flying pig. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. It's maybe Kirseor. I know, like, in Greek mythology, CH usually is the K sound. And then there's Medusa. This is Medusa pre being turned ugly, and this is her post being turned ugly. And also her somewhat lesser known sisters, whose names are very hard to figure out how to pronounce. It's Steno and Euryale. I made a post on my community page, channel page, and people seem to like my designs for them. And then there's the Gray sisters. I don't remember their individual names, but they have them in their symbols. So yeah, Perseus is the only one with like a ton of different forms, because he gets all kinds of different items. This is him in his invisible form. That's like the mirrored version, so it's still readable when you flip him. But yeah, he goes through lots of different versions. I'm gonna look at chat for a second. How is that Pegasus supposed to fly with those chicken nugget-sized wings? Well, as you know, in my videos, I try to make sure every character is like very anatomically accurate. No huge exaggerations in proportions or anything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a very aerodynamically sound design. How are you gonna make the stoned kings? Are you talking about Polydectes when he gets turned into stone? Because I'll literally just I have done stone characters, but I would literally just make him gray like this, and maybe give him like speckles. But other than that, that's pretty much how I'll do it. All right. So yeah, this is my file where I just have all of my Greek mythology characters. All the ones I reuse, at least. Has anyone here, how many people here have watched those videos? I enjoy making them a lot. What kind of kiwis are you eating? I am not eating kiwis. I haven't had a kiwi in a long time. I'm not big on fruit. I like bananas, but most other fruit is very hit or miss, and that's what I struggle with. I prefer like food that just comes straight off of a conveyor belt. I don't want any variability. So yeah, I have already done a few scenes from my video, and I'm not really going to show you much of them because no spoilers. But yeah, I've done a few scenes throughout the video already. But this is the one I'm currently on, where I just started covering. The last thing I did was I covered the origin story of Medusa. So I guess I can show you that right now. Tell me if the audio on this file is a little quiet. So tell me if it's like not audible to you, but this is what I've made of this current scene so far.
Wait a second, who's Medusa? Said nobody, but I'll explain it anyway. So Medusa was this smoking hot snake lady, but then one day Athena caught her hooking up with Poseidon in her temple, and as punishment she turned her so ugly that anyone who looks at her gets turned into stone. So she went back to live with her two sisters and probably started a lucrative career making and selling lawn ornaments or something. So yeah,
that's what I've done of this scene so far. The origin of Medusa. These are the names of her sisters spelled out. If you think you could have figured out how to pronounce them just from looking at the spelling, you're lying to me. Steno and Euryale are their names. I still sadly haven't watched any of the Greek video. You should, because I think they're okay. Yeah, a lot of people really like my design for Euryale. I wasn't sure. I kind of like figured out how I wanted to do. I wanted them to have different hairstyles, and then it just seemed obvious for one to be goth with black snakes, and like them covering her face. So there are actually, so my version of Medusa's backstory is not exactly accurate, because there are two versions. In the earlier versions of the Perseus story where she's mentioned, she and her sisters were just born scary monsters who turn people to stone. They were just born like that. It was in later, I think specifically Roman authors who gave her the origin where she used to be beautiful and then Athena turned her ugly. I think there are other versions where it was like Poseidon's wife, but the most popular version is where Athena did it. And my cat is currently rubbing his face on my microphone. So I basically combined those where she and her sisters were all born as like snake ladies, but then Medusa was cursed to be an ugly snake lady. What are my cat's names? My cat's names are, so the origin story for my cats is there was a female feral cat who lived in a storm drain. And then she had two kittens, and one day they like got stuck somewhere in our backyard. And so I took them and took it upon myself to raise them. And I named them Pennywise and Georgie because they were born in a storm drain. But I call Pennywise Penny, which confuses people because it sounds like he's a girl based on his name. They're my precious boys, and I love them very much. All right, so I've done Medusa's backstory, and next is Perseus being approached by Athena and Hermes, who give him some items, and this is the audio for that.
So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes and Athena showed up and were like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're going to need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear, so here's some items to get started. Ah, dope, thanks.
So yeah, again, let me know if you can't hear the audio from the actual animation file, because it might be a little quieter. So I will get started on that, and I wasn't really sure how what it was gonna look like me animating on stream, because a lot of it is just me kind of going quiet and thinking about things and not really doing much. Hopefully it'll still be entertaining.
So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes...
Okay, so Perseus is just gonna kind of waddle on screen. I'll show you what that is gonna look like. First of all, I need to get Perseus. Is anyone not familiar with the Perseus story? I feel like it's one of the more popular ones. And then, of course, there's like Percy Jackson and Clash of the Titans, which obviously reference it heavily. Oh yeah, and I'll get Athena and Hermes. There's Athena. I'm gonna want them to be on separate layers. I love I want to put Hermes in more stuff because I don't know. I think the way I drew him is funny with his noodle arms. And I want them to be a little smaller so they all fit cozily on screen. Okay, so some people don't actually know the story of Perseus. So stay tuned then. I would explain it to you now, but if I don't, then that'll force you to watch my video instead. So thanks. Appreciate it. I don't know what I've stumbled across, but it's beautiful. Hello, Lieutenant Pinball. Are you not familiar with my Greek mythology videos? On my last stream, I had a few people who just showed up who had never seen any of my videos. My live stream just popped up in their recommendeds, which was surprising, but welcome, of course. So I'm just curious if there's more people who've never seen my videos.
So anyway, as Perseus set on in his adventure...
Okay, so Perseus is just gonna like... Oh, you'll see. He's just gonna waddle on screen, and it's gonna be... That's my favorite thing about the way they're all just so stiff, so that I can just give them really dumb animations when they're actually moving. It's just gonna be like... And then okay, and then I get laggy. I think it's because Perseus has so many different frames of animation. But he gets laggy whenever I work with him for some reason. Normally that's not a huge problem, but it is with Perseus, apparently. Oop. Okay, so then... There, that's good. I like that. Sorry, I'm catching my chat for a second. Do you have any advice for artists? Make art.
So anyway, as
That's a big question. If you have any questions about like specific questions about like animation, I might be able to help. But that's a very large question.
So anyway, as Perseus...
Oh, shit. I moved his origin. Yeah, that's the thing about Flash. When you move... when two objects have different origins and then you tween them, it messes things up. That should be fine. There we go.
So anyway, as Perseus set on in his adventure, Hermes...
What did I animate him on? I animated Perseus on 3s, so convert every third frame.
So anyway, as Perseus set on in his adventure, Hermes...
Oh wait, no, that doesn't work. No, this it looks
so
fine.
Anyway,
if it's
as
just
Perseus
sliding.
Set on in his Perseus set on in his adventure. So anyway, as Perseus set on
Again,
in
my
his
goal
adventure,
here isn't to make masterclass animation. How do you draw circles? Okay, that's a specific question. Let me show you my secret method. I use the circle tool. Pro tip. right there.
So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes and
Okay, I want him to settle into... Because right now, like, when his animation stops, he just kind of doesn't look... It looks weird when he stops. So I want to do a thing there. Wow, this is so laggy right now. I think it's just because Perseus has so many different poses. Ooh. Yeah. There we go. I think this will give him a more natural like, stop.
His adventure, Hermes and Athena. His adventure, Hermes and
Sure, that works. Any general... I do art for album covers, but I usually have my friends help me with the art. But I would like to practice digital art, and I was wondering if you had any general tips for art. Well, if you're getting new to digital art, then I guess picking a program to use would be your first step. And there's a lot of options. I personally use Paint Tool Sci because it's just a very simple, lightweight program. So I would go with that. There's also Krita, which is very good. It doesn't run super well on my computer in my experience, but might be different for you. So definitely try Krita out because it's free and has a ton of features. It's kind of like the opposite of Sci, where Sci is very simple. Krita has a lot of stuff going on. And then Clip Studio Paint is the program that a lot of people kind of have fallen in love with because it has some really advanced functionality that I don't know much about whenever I see videos showcasing some of the cool tools with it, it's always pretty neat. When do you think you'll do the story of Heracles? Eventually. That's a pretty big one. I kind of went with Perseus because it's much more concise. Also, bonus points for you using the Greek version of Heracles' name. Most people call him Hercules even when they're talking about Greek mythology. But Heracles is his Greek name. Hercules is his Roman name.
and his adventure, Hermes.
Okay, so this is where Hermes and Athena pop into screen. Oh, I think someone asked how long I usually stream. I've only streamed once, and that was 3 hours-ish. So probably, as long as everyone sticks around, probably another 3 hours tonight. But we'll see. And this is how I animate characters just bouncing into frame. Ever so slightly.
Hermes and Athena show.
And now they've
Hermes and Athena show.
bounced on screen. And then,
Hermes and
okay. So then it's Hermes and Athena.
Hermes and Athena showed up, and Hermes and Athena showed up.
I think I wanted him to show up a little late earlier.
Hermes and Athena showed up, and
there you go.
So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes and Athena showed up, and we're like, hey.
Ooh, and now we get into how I animate characters talking, which is a very advanced technique. You'll see.
Like, hey.
I'm gonna make separate symbols for them while they're talking.
Like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're gonna need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear. So here's some items to get started.
Cool. Okay, so now I'm turning these into separate symbols for them talking. So now, as Hermes is talking, he'll be like, hubba bubba 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 while he's talking. It looks extremely realistic. Then I'll do the same for Athena. I forgot to mention, but I use my Android tablet and a program named Ibis Paint X, and it's cool, has a bunch of tools, but I was mainly talking about things around like inspiration and character design. Well, in terms of like inspiration, if someone knows the secret to finding inspiration, please let me know, because that's a constant struggle for me, is coming up with ideas. As for character design, I feel like I have a tendency to do things to make things overly stiff and uniform. I showed this on my last stream, but my original designs for the Greek mythology characters were very bad. I wanted them like to all be like based on the same model, like Funko Pops or something, and they just look really ugly and bad. And it was working on, it was iterating on that, where I think it was either Ares or Hephaestus who I designed, and I just got like really silly with it and gave Ares his like tiny small head, and Hermes and Hephaestus his twitchy crazy straw legs, and that's where I realized that the direction I wanted to go was just to make everyone look really silly and off model, and it worked out very well for me. Apparently Hades looks like he has long legs. It's supposed to be a cloak, and then there's like this, like the gap in the cloak is right here. But he just looks like he has long legs apparently, which was not my intention. But that's pretty funny at the same time though.
So here's some item.
Oh, it's very funny when I make a character's talking and then forget to set it to hold frames. So when I play it,
like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know
they're just vibrating. Okay, now this is the super interesting and riveting part where I animate characters talking. So buckle up, folks, because this is going to be very fun to watch. I basically have them bounce up on each syllable of each word, so it's hey yar, like that.
Like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're gonna need to go on.
It's really difficult when it's tricky when you have two words, that a word that ends in a vowel, then a word that begins in the same vowel, like go on. It's kind of tricky to decide where the break should be, because you still want it. Sometimes multiple words end up just being one one bump up, where in other cases you want to add a break. It's really, I'm presenting it like it's a very methodical thing. I kind of just wing it every single time. I don't exactly have a system. I'm trying to just like power through this right now, and then I'll look at chat again.
Here's some items. Like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're going to need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear, so here's some items to get started.
That's good enough for me. Hey, if you need music for a stream, I know an artist personally. He does really good electronic music in a ton of genres and has a chill album that would be good background music. Just look up Engine Music. I will. I'm highlighting that to copy paste right now. Right now I'm just using Stream Beats, which is just 100% like free music that's designed to be used in background music for streams. And you won't get copyrighted, so that's what I'm using right now, but I'd be happy to check out other artists. And then so for Hermes talking, I'm straight up just gonna copy Athena. I don't know why I didn't make Hermes and Athena just one symbol. That would have been the smart thing to do. But I'm not a smart person, so that's what happens. In an older version of Adobe Animate, you couldn't, in order to pick out different frames for a symbol that's holding frames, you couldn't pin it. You had to like select it every time. You had to select it, pick your frame, then go to the next frame and select it again. It sounds like such a small little thing, but it would have been so tedious for what I would have just, what I was just doing. Have you studied Andrew Loomis's art books? Yes, I have. He kind of, I guess you could say, wrote the book on figure studies and drawing anatomy. Obviously, there are different methods, but his methods are the most popular. So yeah, I have the book somewhere in my apartment, I think. And I think one of his other books too. Yeah, I had an art teacher who just made me redraw a bunch of his stuff. I haven't figure drawn in a long time. Figure drawing, like live model figure drawing, is super helpful. That's when you just draw when you're in a room with a bunch of people, and in the center of you is just a naked person posing, and you just draw them doing different poses. It is unbelievably helpful for getting good at drawing people. Every time I've gotten opportunities to do it, I'm like, I need to do this all the time, and then I don't. But I had to do, I did it for a few college courses, and it helped so much with my art. If you want to get good at drawing people, just draw lots of naked people. It's best to do it actually in person with like a live model, but it is so unbelievably helpful for getting good. Because as you can see, I'm a master at the human figure.
Like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're going to need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear, so here's some items to get started.
Okay, so then they're going to give him his items, which are the sword, the winged sandals, and the mirror shield thing. In fact, I think all of these guys need to be on lower layers, so there's enough room.
So anyway, as Perseus set on his adventure, Hermes and Athena showed up and were like, hey, our dad wanted to let you know that you're going to need to go on a few side quests first to level up your gear, so here's... Okay. It's
gonna zoom out for them. Gonna zoom out, and then the items are just gonna pop up like above them, like RPG items.
So here's some items.
Do you think Olive is a good software for editing / animating? I've never heard of that. I'm gonna look that up right now. Olive animation. I can't. Can you send me a link to what you're talking about? Olive? I've never heard of that. Hermes' shoes are going crazy.
Dope, thanks.
I mean, they're just kind of...
Dope, thanks.
They're just kind of flapping around.
To level up your gear, so here's some items to get started. Dope.
They're fine. Okay, yeah, sorry. Keep getting distracted. So I think I'm gonna. I've already drawn Perseus holding these items, but I'm gonna have to. Oh no! Okay, so the sword is already good. I can just copy that. Just take the version that he's not holding. And then I want them all to have like stats pop up. Like +1 cut from the sword and stuff like that. Oop. And then, oh yeah, the shoes. Okay, those shoes. copy the color of the shoes. Now I'm wishing I designed his shoes to be based on, like, I don't know, some kind of like expensive collector sneakers or something. That would have been funny. But I already drew Perseus wearing them and I don't want to redraw them, so that's a shame. Oh yes, I'm using Adobe Animate, which is not the best animation software. It gets the job done for these videos at least. Though for my next one, where I'll be doing Norse mythology, I'm gonna try to do it in Blender because I've loved Blender for a long time and I've played around with Grease Pencil for a long time, but I've never really done a full thing in Grease Pencil. And I figure these kinds of videos are a good place to start because they're pretty simple. And I'm excited because even though obviously these mythology videos, they're not meant to look like super pretty or anything like that, but there are issues like stylistic issues that I have that would be a lot easier to make look better in Blender. And I'll stream myself working on that stuff too, and I'm excited to show you guys like all the cool stuff I can do. I'm gonna have to make a ton of Norse mythology characters, so I'll probably stream myself doing some of that. Norse mythology is super, super, super cool, and I'm very excited to delve into it. I've really enjoyed learning about it. Just today I discovered the videos of Jackson Crawford, who's a professor of, I think primarily he teaches Old Norse, the language, but he also makes videos talking about Norse mythology, and it's all very interesting. And he's also like a handsome cowboy man with a deep voice. So, and I just find that funny. And he's always like talking like behind like some beautiful like Colorado mountains. So there's just something like very relaxing and pleasant about his videos. And he signs off his videos like, from beautiful Colorado, have a nice day. You should make the mirror shield from Zelda. I already did his mirror shield. It literally just looks like a mirror, just a kind of fancy bronze mirror. This version of the wing shoes are literally just going to be in one shot, so they don't need to look pretty. That's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. Perfectly fine. And then the mirror. I hope this is entertaining for you guys to watch. I realize it's not super duper interesting. And I'm a lot more quiet than I was on my first stream when I was mostly just drawing, as opposed to having to focus on also animating. No idea what's going on, but you listen to lo-fi and I like lo-fi. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the tunes I'm putting on. I'm animating a video explaining the Perseus myth from Greek mythology. And as you can see, it's not exactly a very serious video. Oh, thank you for subbing. Neophyte TPK. I think the items are just gonna, yeah, just pop out of them. Yeah, like so.
So here's some items. So here's some items to get. So here's some items to get.
Sure. Wait, I think I want them to actually be a little higher.
So here's some items to get.
Okay, and then I want to give them dumb stats. So, oh, I need to put everything one layer down now. It's gonna lag for a second while that happens. Okay. So obviously, oh, I need to, yeah, okay, that's the right font. Obviously the sword is gonna give you +1 cut. That's probably like an actual Pokemon stat, actually. I'm gonna make it red because it's an offense stat. It's an attack stat. Should be one more saturated. And the wings are gonna be like +3 fly. Then I'll make it blue. Sure. And then the mirror will be +5 reflect things. And I'll make that green. How do you feel about lineless art? Because your art style seems to vary between heavy, light, and no outlines at all. Good question. So, let me show you some of my other animated stuff. Just give me a second to find that stuff. Yeah, I'll pull up my Penny video. Just give it a second to load. So yeah, in a lot of my other animated videos, I do a lineless style where there are some lines when I'm trying to convey a contour, but this is another video on my channel, by the way. But generally, everything is just solid colors, and then I kind of add shading with a gradient. This is literally just a basic circular gradient fill that I just messed around with to make look like it's kind of the shadow on the lower half of her face. And then played with the gradient a little more for this, where this is like a whole other object that I kind of made to be her shadow from her back cast onto her hair. So the reason I don't do this for my Greek mythology videos is because making this kind of style look polished the way I want it to be takes a while. And with these, I want to get these videos out a lot more quickly because they're a lot longer. And I also want them to just look kind of sketchy and dumb. So with these, I go with just a very basic, no pressure sensitivity, just a straight line. But as you can see, Adobe Animate likes to fuck up my lines anyway and make them give them like weird varying thickness, especially when they intersect. That's just Adobe Animate fucking up. But yeah, with these, I do line art just because it's quicker that way. What's your favorite Greek myth? Probably this one. I really like Perseus because I feel like it's the original generic guy goes on an adventure and saves a hot chick and fights a monster and then he gets to be a king. And I do a joke with that at the very beginning of this video, actually, but I'm not going to show you it because no spoilers. I don't know. I guess the simplicity of this myth just always resonated with me. So that's my answer to that. What cartoons / artists do you base your style on? That's a good question. With these mythology videos, I honestly don't know. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially non-artists, think that finding your style is a very conscious effort, when I would say, at least for me, that's not really a case. It's just kind of drawing what you think looks nice or what you find easier to draw than other styles. For, again, these videos, a good source of inspiration would be probably Camp. Let me show you. For those who don't know Camp, that's another show from Rooster Teeth. And that has a very pleasant looking kind of lineless style. So you can probably tell there's inspiration there. As for my Greek mythology videos, I don't know. My Greek mythology videos are basically the easiest way to come up with something that looks, if not good, then at least funny. Perseus is beta Heracles. That's not wrong, because he is Perseus is Heracles' like great great whatever grandfather. What's your favorite Greek god? My favorite Greek god is Hephaestus, who's also probably one of my favorite designs. I don't know why. He seems like a nice fellow. So I like Hephaestus a lot. Now I'm all disorganized with my files. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, hello, Sark. Yeah, Perseus is Heracles' great grandfather.
Here's some items to get started. Dope, thanks.
Oh, and I need to make Perseus talk. So for those who missed my very advanced technique for making characters talk, observe. Prepare to be impressed.
Dope.
And now Perseus has talked.
Dope, thanks.
Cool. So now I have, for this scene of my video, I've covered the origin of Medusa, from hot chick to hooking up with Poseidon to getting cursed. And now I've covered Perseus getting his items from Athena and Hermes. And now I am going on to the Grey Sisters, who are the old ladies who have to share one eye and one tooth. And for their introduction, I'm actually going to usually with my Greek mythology videos, everyone only has one drawing that I always use, but with this, when I introduce them, I kind of want to have it be kind of like a funny scene where the one with the tooth is eating something, the one with the eye is reading something, and then the one in the middle is just sad. So, and that's just going to be, so I'm going to close this file because I don't need it, and I keep going to it accidentally. So I'm going to draw that, and I'm going to just draw that from scratch, but I'll have them here for reference. Oop. Which one is this? This is Enyo. I think I actually might change their names because I realized that one of their names means something to the effect of the person who shows Perseus the way. Like their name literally means that. So that one is going to be the one who gives Perseus his directions. But I need to figure out which one that is, and then because this is the one who's gonna be the one who does that, so I'm gonna have to change her name to that. Yeah, she's just gonna be happily reading a book. Is there any particular fact or detail about mythology that you find most interesting since starting these videos? Good question. I think the most not it's not like a fun fact or anything, but the most interesting thing that I've kind of been trying to wrap my head around is just how the Greeks, or I guess more accurately, the Hellenes, how they personally felt about the gods, because obviously they had very different moral standards from what we do today. So we look at a lot of the things the Greek gods did in the stories and we're like, wow, what an asshole. Why would anyone worship them? And then we kind of develop this mentality that the Greeks must not have worshipped them the way we think of worship. They must have just been afraid of them because they were crazy and selfish and vindictive. So their religion was more about not wanting to get on their bad side than actually appreciating their gods. But that was not the case. They did love their gods. And yeah, it's just a matter of understanding the way an ancient Greek person would have viewed these stories by their own moral standards. How the things we think of as being messed up that the gods do as not necessarily being a bad thing in the eyes of the Greeks. I understand it to be more that they saw the gods as just forces of nature, you know, not good or bad necessarily, just facts of life. And so if a god does something bad to you, it's kind of like walking in the middle of a hailstorm. Like, if it's hailing outside and you walk outside, obviously you're gonna get hurt. That's just what naturally happens. And as I understand it, the Greeks had a similar understanding to how they interacted with the gods. Where if the gods do something bad to you, it's probably because you did something stupid. Or something that goes against just the facts of nature. And then, again, as Sark will be happy to point out a lot, there's the whole misconception surrounding Zeus cheating on his wife a lot and being just uncontrollably horny all the time. I do make a joke about that in this video, but that's not necessarily a very accurate way of how the Greeks actually saw Zeus's love affairs. Because again, they wouldn't impose a trait on their like king of the gods, the embodiment of authority and justice. They wouldn't give him a trait that they saw as being negative. I don't actually know if the Greeks were polyamorous or polygamous. That's something that I'll have to ask about. Sark, you probably know the answer to that. So I don't know if that was a justification for Zeus having affairs with other women. Who did your channel art? Me. My art looks very different. My channel art looks very different from the art that I'm making right now. The Greeks were not polyamorous, but they did believe that one could have multiple lovers at a time. Oh yeah. So it is my understanding, this is a subject I do not have much knowledge on at the moment, but it is my understanding that the Greeks had many different definitions for what we just describe as love. Not just, romantic love, polyamorous love, sexual love. They had different words for all of that, and they meant very different things. And they weren't like, you wouldn't have exclusive relationships in them the way we imagine people would today. When you watch Disney's Hercules. Here's the thing. So, yes, Disney's Hercules is not accurate to the mythos that the ancient Greeks believed. You can tell that simply from the name Hercules, even though it's supposed to take place in Greece. But the thing about mythology is there's no definitive version of any myth. It all originates from oral tradition where things would change drastically depending on, who's telling the story. There is, however, a difference between, telling a story the way people actually believed it as part of their religion and telling something just because, it's a fun story. And I try to somewhat... in my videos, I try to at least retell these stories with a base of knowledge that's informed by a more like authentic version of these stories, the way that they were told by ancient Greeks. Even though obviously I deviate a ton, mainly for comedic purposes. So you could have many boyfriends, girlfriends, friends with benefits, or just cool partners as you want, but you could only be married to one person. Okay, thank you, Sark. That makes sense. Also, in Disney's Hercules, its depiction of the gods are actually pretty spot on. Yeah, the only thing that sticks out to me as wrong is quote-unquote wrong, because like I just explained, there's no... You can't exactly be wrong when it comes to mythology. But the way they depict Hades in a very antagonistic way is... I think anyone who's read about Greek mythology would know that Hades is not much of an antagonist. He's just kind of a guy who minds his own business most of the time, unless he wants to abduct a wife or two. But even that is a controversial matter. Typically, the Hades abducting his wife Persephone is seen as a very one-sided situation, but there are in the actual sources, namely the hymn to Demeter, there's room for interpretations. Not to say that he doesn't straight up abduct Persephone, but there's room to interpret otherwise. It's complicated, and it's honestly not something I'm super well informed on. But I might cover it. I covered it briefly in my first video, Persephone, very briefly. Didn't really have time to get into the nuance. While Hades is often viewed in a pretty negative light among the Greeks, while not ambitious or vying for power, he was viewed as being very malicious and apathetic to mortals. Yeah, I guess that would just come from the fact that the Greeks had a very negative view of death. So obviously the king of the dead is gonna be a spooky figure, at the very least a figure you don't want to talk about much. So yeah, that makes sense. Not related at all to Greek mythology, but how's your day been? My day's been okay. Just had a chill day. Got some work done, and now I'm just vibing. What should the title of this book be? Oh, I know exactly what the title of the book is going to be. It's going to blow your mind. Wait, no. Book 2. It's a sequel. I almost want to try to fit in like a major motion picture, but I think I'll hold off on that. I think I already did that joke actually earlier in the video. So there's another shot with a book in it where I think I did that joke. For some reason, this stream was in my recommended LMAO. Yeah, again, I'm surprised that people will just like show up and do a stream they know nothing about, but very happy you're here. Have you seen my videos at all? Or do you not know who I am at all? If you don't, I am making an animated video about Greek mythology, which I have a whole series on that you can check out if you're interested on my channel. Book 2, the novelization. So this was a book called Book 2 that was adapted into a movie and then adapted back into a novel. That makes sense. Book 2, the movie, the novelization. Okay. Oh god, this is probably gonna like prompt me, like anytime I show a book, I'm just gonna be adding to the book series. It's gonna be a running gag. You heard it here first, folks. By the way, how is my audio quality? How is my voice compared to the music? Because when I watched my first stream, the music was a lot louder than I wanted it to be, and it didn't drown out my voice, but it was just a little loud. And also, I got a new microphone for streaming because with my other microphone, it was a condenser microphone. Condenser microphones are very sensitive, so I had to put on a pretty aggressive noise gate so it wouldn't pick up background noise too much because I had my AC on and everything. And it ended up cutting off my actual speech. Like, I would watch it back and there were moments where I knew I was talking. I knew I was saying something, but it didn't pick up my voice at all because I was talking too quietly. So I got a new microphone that's just better at picking up, at rejecting background noise on its own. So I can turn the noise gate down. And I really like this microphone. I ended up using it to record my voiceover for this new video because it was just very convenient not having to worry as much about background noise. Did book 1 get a movie too, or did they just not even bother to adapt the first book and they went straight to the sequel? It was actually one of those situations where, have you ever seen Disney's The Black Cauldron? The Black Cauldron was based on the second book, I think, in a longer fantasy series. So I think it was that situation where they adapted the second book because the second book was just kind of popular on its own, or it was so obscure that nobody really knew about it in the first place. And then the movie got really popular, and then everyone was like, hey, did you know that book 2 is actually part of a book series? It was actually originally a book. And people are like, what? Like The Shining or Forrest Gump, like really popular movies that a lot of people don't know were originally books. And there are actually a lot of significant changes between the two. The director of book 2 was quite the auteur, and he made a lot of questionable creative decisions. The author of book 2 isn't actually a fan of the adaptations, but he respects the director, so he's not too vocal about it. I have 2 questions. How long does your stream last, and do you have any other media platform you're on? This stream is I've been streaming for almost an hour and a half now, probably another hour and a half. My first stream was 3 hours, so I could see this one being about that long as well. Book 3, the prequel, the animated series. Has anyone actually read the book for The Shining? I've become a pretty big Stephen King fan just listening to audiobooks while I work. Right now I'm trying to finally finish it. But the book for The Shining is actually very good. And I understand why Stephen King did not like the movie adaptation. I think the movie is very good as well. I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, the book is always better. The book and the movie for The Shining are just very different. Stephen King wrote a book that was like very personal, like about his like failing as a father, about alcoholism, all that stuff. And then Stanley Kubrick read that and was like, oh, I get it. It's about the Native American genocide. It's subliminal. And he made a movie about that. And also a great work of art, but it accomplished very different goals, I think. And I need to watch the movie again. It's been a while since I've now read the book twice in the past year or two, and I haven't watched the movie in a while. To make it more confusing, the movie adaptation of book 2 is called movie 1. Definitely. Oh, definitely. Book 4, the Netflix adaptation. Since it's an animation channel, I have to ask the question, what program do you use? I use Adobe Animate. It's kind of shitty. I'm probably going to use Blender for my next mythology video, but I'm very used to Adobe Animate. I just burped. So I'll probably continue to use Adobe Animate a lot, especially for my short animations, because I can just work in it super quickly. Oh, sorry, I didn't answer your other question. What media platforms I'm on? I'm also on Twitter, and that's about it. I have an Instagram too, but I don't really use it. But yeah, just Twitter. Also TikTok. I don't really know how to use TikTok. I'll just, if I make an animated video that I feel like would be good for TikTok, I post it and then just leave it alone. Sometimes they get a lot of views, sometimes they don't. I don't really get TikTok, but I enjoy a TikTok. If someone curates them for me, I'll watch a TikTok and have a nice chuckle. Bruh, I just joined the stream. What is happening? I am animating a video, my next Greek mythology video. I make a series of videos where I explain Greek mythology, but in a very dumb way. Right now, I am doing the story of Perseus. This is one of the Grey Sisters, one of the old ladies who they have to share one eye together. And that's basically it. Go check out my other videos, because I want more people to watch them. Everyone watches my short animations, my fan animations, and I'm very glad. But I really care about these mythology videos, and I'd love to see more people watch them. Do you like overly sarcastic productions? Yes, I think a lot of my audience for my mythology videos overlaps with overly sarcastic productions, just naturally. And I found their Discord server to be extremely useful for talking to people about mythology and getting advice and information. And yeah, I actually haven't watched a ton of their videos. I've watched a few, but I've never been a super active fan of theirs. But they make really good stuff, and I honestly don't know whether they would be a source of. I would consider them a source of inspiration. I was definitely, when I got the idea for these, I was definitely aware of them. And it helped to know that there were other people that there was an audience for the kind of thing that I wanted to make. But I would have to dig really deep in my memory in order to tell whether I would consider them a source for like inspiration. But I did credit them in my channel intro video. Just because our videos are definitely very similar. Are we back in business? Hello? Sorry about that. I think I'm back. Hold on. Okay, I should be back now. Sorry. So I was worried this was going to happen.